Training for anything can be exhausting and sometimes kind of intimidating. When I think of climbing training, I think of stuff like this, which is obviously really difficult. I don't even know what that is. Or I think of this, where I can't even hold on to that tiny little thing, or whatever the crap that thing is. And sometimes I think of hangboards, or kilter boards, or whatever those are. Or some people even say, just climb. That's the best way to train. And as much as I agree with that, I want to share my approach to training. Welcome to Suck It Slab. This is a normal fitness time for me. Usually I start out with a good warm-up. Most of the time that just looks like climbing for me, or bouldering, I suppose. This is how I train for climbing, and this isn't for everybody, but it works for me. Usually I start with a little bit of cardio, and then I head up to the weight room. Leg day is my favorite day. I love to squat, I love to deadlift, I love to bench, and I love bicep curls. And that's all controversial stuff because some people think, oh, to train for climbing, I just need to train climbing stuff. But for me, I just like a very full body, general strength, wholesome approach to training. So deadlifts are something that I do probably too often because that's how I enjoy training. And frankly, just getting to the gym and moving around is the biggest hurdle for most people. So just get in there and move around a little bit, even if that looks like just climbing or deadlifting or doing this death machine that trains your hamstring. I do, however, want to get into a more in-depth approach to training. And this is a very general strength and conditioning training that I have enjoyed doing for about a year and a half now. And before that, I was focusing a lot on lactate threshold training because I ran track and field. I ran 4 years in college and 1 year beyond that. And I've been transitioning into full-time resistance training in the context of a weight room or at the climbing gym. I climb 4 days out of the week and I work out 4 days of the week. And of course that is 8 different workout sessions, but a few of them I compound on top of one another. So I might climb for 30 minutes and then go to the weight room for another 30 minutes. I really don't like to be in the gym for more than an hour and a half, but sometimes it just happens because I get caught up in a long climb or a long workout. I do just kind of go with the flow, do what feels good and feels right for my body. But that's not for everybody. Some people need more of a structured workout plan. And if that's you, let me explain a little bit more in depth of what I do. I like to focus on something called hypertrophy training. It focuses a lot on slow contractions, slow eccentric movements, and a big contraction at the top of any movement to try to push a ton of blood to that muscle group. That's the whole idea of hypertrophy training. And that has worked for me. I focus on a lot of volume with reps ranging anywhere from 12 to even 20 on the higher end. And I love to go to failure in my sets, usually ranging from 3 to 6. That being said, I don't train a lot of muscle groups in a single day. I might do arms one day, chest the next day, back the next day, shoulders the next day, and I split up legs into 2 different days, one focusing on posterior chain workout and one more towards the front. I really like to focus my quads because I like big quads. And it works out because then if I go to failure with a certain muscle group, it gets many days to recover because I don't focus that muscle group for another 7 days, if not a little bit longer. When it comes to bouldering, I don't have a rigid workout plan. I go to the bouldering gym and just climb. Instead of going based off of a certain muscle group, I go based off of a certain amount of time. Since I climb 4 days out of the week, 2 days I climb really hard for a longer extended period of time, maybe an hour and a half, even pushing the 2-hour mark. And then 2 days I just go and do some range of motion, warm up, get some blood pumping to my arms, and work on a project. About once a week, I'll do some top roping or even some lead climbing and work a little bit more on endurance because I've noticed that endurance is one of my weaknesses when it comes to bouldering. Or I'll focus on a certain technique like hooks, toe hooks, heel hooks, and climb a bunch of the routes that have some of those techniques in them. You might be wondering, well, you work out 8 days during the week. That sounds like overtraining. And I think it does border the overtraining mark, but I'm trying to maximize how many workouts I do during the week because I genuinely enjoy them. It's a pastime and a hobby of mine. It's not a grind. And it is worth noting that I average about 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep each day. And I really focus on getting all my protein in. I've noticed that when I get enough protein in each day, then I've reached the required amount of calories that I need each day. I also focus in on a really healthy diet of eating whole foods. I don't eat out much, and I try not to eat simple carbs or fried foods. Pretty much everything else is game for me. I've worked with nutritionists in my time as a collegiate athlete, and I realized that if I just cut out a lot of fried foods or sugary foods and eat whole foods like apples or meats or other greens, then that's just a very balanced diet for me as long as I'm focusing in on getting enough protein each day. In my experience as a collegiate track runner and a collegiate track coach, it's really difficult to copy and paste or cookie cutter workouts for people. You really have to take the time to experience trial and error to understand what your body is going to respond best to. It's also really important to understand what your goals are. If you are training to be a competitive climber, then this workout probably is not for you. But if you're trying to climb really well and also have a very strong general strength and conditioning, then a workout plan like this could be for you. I really appreciate it if you would take the time to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps me make more videos like this. Thanks.